All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the Harper Media Group Playbook for turning those chaotic, custom technical SEO audits into a highly structured, repeatable agency service. If you've ever felt like every single audit you do is basically starting from scratch, well, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's tackle a massive elephant in the room for digital marketing agencies today. Why is there such a huge gap in audit volume between different shops? Honestly, it usually boils down to one simple word: process. The main difference between an unscalable, pulling your hair out custom project and a highly profitable productized service is having a real process. Without a documented framework, audits are just this slow, inconsistent bottleneck. But with one, they become a sleek product you can price confidently and delegate effectively.
Here is our game plan. We are going to hit the 5 core pillars of this playbook: building a repeatable framework, pre-crawl intelligence gathering, uncovering hidden link authority, core web vitals performance, and finally, structured data and schema. So, kicking things off with section 1, building a repeatable framework. Look, without a repeatable framework, every single audit remains this slow, inconsistent knowledge silo that's usually trapped in just one team member's head. To fix this, you absolutely have to match your audit scope to the client's site complexity. The playbook breaks this down into 3 distinct tiers. You've got a mini audit for, say, a 15-page brochure site, which should take about 4 to 6 hours. Then a standard audit taking 8 to 12 hours for medium sites, and finally an enterprise audit demanding 20+ hours for those massive 50,000-page e-commerce beasts. This is so crucial, right? Because applying an enterprise scope to a simple brochure site means you are wildly overcharging and risking that client relationship. But flip it around, and applying a mini audit to an enterprise site guarantees you'll miss critical findings. So where does it all fall apart right out of the gate? Usually, it's a total lack of standardization across the team. Everyone's just kind of winging it based on their own isolated knowledge. Picture this. You have no schema template library, which means your team is building configurations completely from scratch for every single client. They're turning a quick 30-second setup into a 30-minute chore. Or they capture their findings in these wildly different formats, making it practically impossible to compile a cohesive, branded client report at the end. Systematizing these elements is literally step 1 to profitability.
Moving right along to section 2, pre-crawl intelligence gathering.
Now, this is an absolutely crucial step. You have to read the existing data before you go out and generate new data. Skipping this pre-crawl phase means you'll waste hours diagnosing issues that Google Search Console has already neatly documented for you. Before you even think about opening a crawling tool, you need to be looking at traffic trends, coverage issues, and existing sitemaps. Imagine this absolute nightmare scenario. You run a massive, multi-hour crawl for a client, only to realize way later that Googlebot was blocked by a single disallowed directive in the robots.txt file the entire time. I mean, that is a classic, painful agency mistake. Another massive pitfall is failing to establish baseline metrics. If you don't actually document the starting organic traffic and index page counts, well, proving the ROI of your audit later down the line becomes completely impossible. So here is your exact SOP for intelligence gathering. First, you pull the 16-month performance view to catch any sudden traffic drops. Next, you review the coverage report. But most importantly, and I can't stress this enough, you check for manual actions. If a site has a manual action against it, literally everything else you do in a technical audit is totally wasted effort until that penalty is cleared. This pre-crawl intelligence has to dictate your audit's entire roadmap. All right, section 3, uncovering hidden link authority. This step is basically a giant SEO treasure hunt. We're looking at 2 specific dimensions here: how authority flows internally to your priority pages and the external health of your backlink profile. It's all about identifying where your site's power is concentrated and then making sure it's actually helping your business goals. It is wild how often high-priority commercial money pages, specific product or service pages, receive almost 0 contextual body links. They just sit there with maybe 1 or 2 internal links. Meanwhile, generic footer pages, like the privacy policy, are hoarding all the site's equity just because they happen to be in the global navigation. Another massive failure? Having high-authority external sites linking to old URLs on your domain that now return 404 errors. Now, here's a concept I absolutely love. Broken inbound link reclamation is easily the biggest, easiest win in SEO. Recovering external links that point to old 404 pages is just pure authority that already exists. It's literally just waiting to be reclaimed.
You aren't doing any cold outreach for new links. You're simply setting up a 301 redirect to point that existing lost equity to a live relevant page. Boom, done. By systematically exporting internal link reports from tools like Screaming Frog, and then filtering your backlink profile in Ahrefs or SEMrush for 404 errors, you can secure massive, immediate ROI for your clients. You identify the gaps, add contextual internal links to those money pages, and redirect those broken external links. It's fast, it's cheap, and it produces really immediate results.
Which brings us to Section 4, Core Web Vitals Performance.
Site speed is often the most convincing part of any client presentation, but you have to properly contrast field data and lab data. Testing synthetic lab data in page speed insights before reviewing real user field data, that completely misaligns your audit with how Google actually ranks sites. Google cares about real users, so they rank based on field data. Lab data is great for identifying the specific elements you need to fix, sure, but it is a synthetic environment. You always start with the real-world metrics. Honestly, nothing screams agency amateur hour quite like proudly showing a client a desktop page speed score of 75, giving them a false sense of comfort while completely ignoring their disastrous mobile field data where a 5.2-second load time is tanking 80% of their actual traffic. Plus, a really common failure is just handing your developers this massive, undifferentiated list of problems, or diagnosing front-end image issues without realizing the root problem is actually a shared hosting server with a terrible time to first byte.
The fix here is to use a structured roadmap. Always start with mobile field data in Search Console. Then, run page speed insights on about 5 representative page types to diagnose the exact failing elements, like figure out which specific image is causing the slow, largest contentful paint. Use Chrome DevTools for those really granular JavaScript blocking tasks. And finally, group these into actionable tiers for the developers. Quick wins, core fixes, and infrastructure upgrades. Trust me, the dev team will absolutely thank you for this.
And finally, Section 5, Structured Data and Schema. This is typically the lowest effort, highest impact quick win you'll find in a technical audit. A systematic schema audit reveals missing, rich result opportunities that can measurably improve click-through rates within weeks of deployment. Think about it. If you find a schema error affecting 500 product pages, fixing that one template translates directly into a prioritized roadmap with highly quantifiable business impact. It directly proves the audit's value to the client right off the bat. The big troublemakers here are template errors. A single missing field in a template can generate hundreds of errors at once in Search Console. We also constantly find deprecated types that Google doesn't even support for rich results anymore. But worse than that, malformed syntax. Something as small as an unclosed bracket or a trailing comma in the code can cause Google to completely miss your schema without ever throwing a warning. Why? Because it simply can't parse the block at all. It fails completely silently.
Listen to this pro tip because it's a massive agency game changer. Custom extraction is the absolute only way to find broken JSON-LD syntax that fails silently. Because the code is broken, Google just ignores it, meaning it remains completely invisible in Google Search Console's error reports. By using a custom regex extraction in your crawler, you can pull every schema block site-wide and uncover these hidden invisible errors. So, by systematically cross-referencing your Search Console rich results report with per-page testing using the schema markup validator, and then combining that with site-wide custom extractions from your crawler, you compile a totally foolproof remediation list for your clients. You map out the schema type, the error count, the root cause, and the priority. So, taking all this actionable intel from the Harper Media Group playbook, I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you going to keep wasting hours on unscalable custom audits, building every configuration from scratch and hoarding all that knowledge in one person's head? Or are you ready to systematize your workflow, implement these 5 pillars, and scale your agency's success by turning your technical audits into a highly profitable, repeatable product? The framework is right here. It's time to build it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.